Hello everyone, I hope all of you are safe and a very happy Diwali to all my Indian friends and subscribers. So today I'm going to be covering one of the main topics in Excel, that is macros. I have heard from a lot of people that macros is quite difficult to learn, but in reality it's not. I'll try to explain macros in the simplest possible way. There are two ways of doing a macro. The first way is you can either write a macro, which, let's face it, 90% of users don't know, or they find it a bit difficult because of all technicalities involved. So I'll try to show you all much simpler way of creating a macro. Macro is actually one of the most powerful Excel functions, which actually can save a lot of your time. So what it does is, if you are preparing any report that involves the similar activities and you follow the same process to get the report generated, you can actually record those procedures, and macros can actually run those procedures for you when you want to run the report next time. So let's start. What I'll do is I'll show you two examples. The first example you can see here is the AR invoice, that's the sales invoice, the values of the invoice, the gross profit percentage, and the total of open invoices. Now, this is how this report comes from my system. So the first thing that I have to do is remove all these NZDs so that it becomes numerical values and it becomes much easier for me to analyze this report. So usually what we would do is we'll do Control F NZD and replace all with nil. So it becomes this report. Now I'll go back. So, but for me to repeat the same process again and again can be really annoying. So what I can do is, at this point, I can go to the option macros, which is under view, and you'll find three options: view macros, record macros, and use relative references. So we'll start with record macro, and it asks you for a name. You can name whatever name you like, and you press OK. Now, if you see, it gives you an option called stop recording. So now the macro is active. So whatever you do from here gets recorded, and once you are done with the procedure, you can press stop recording. So now, say for example, if I follow the same process, okay, and now I do the stop recording. Now I've come back to the original way the report comes from the system. So assuming I've got this report straight from the system, and now instead of doing a Control F and everything, I can just go to macros, view macros, and this is your macro. I can just press run, and there you go. Your report is generated. So this was a very basic example. The next example I will show you will involve a bit more procedures, but that will help you to understand macros a lot better. So this is the report of item numbers, descriptions. These are all random numbers and names, as you can see. The batch numbers, the quantities, expiration date, the item cost, and the total value. This is how this report comes from my system. Now from this report, I actually want to see the value of expired stock as at today. So how would I do that? The normal process is I can use this minus using the function today. Today actually is an Excel function. For those who don't know, today takes into account the date as at today. And there you go. So remember, if the date is later than today's date, it shows as a positive value. If the date is, say for example, today is 21st November, say if it's 20th November, now it shows -1. So for me, I only have to see the values of the products with negative numbers here, the ones that have expired. I hope it makes sense. So I'll go back. All right. Now I'll start recording this in a macro. Record macro, macro 12 is the name. I press OK. Now from here on, whatever steps I'll do, it will be recorded. So my first step is naming this column as expired. Then this minus today's date. And then I can drag this formula till the end. And now I'll go at the top. Now what I'll do is I'll put the filter. And now I will select the ones that have the positive values. That for that I can do greater than or equal to 0. This means all the products that have expired dates later than today's date, I'm filtering them. So all of these products are not expired as a date. So now what I'll do is I'll select them and I'll delete it. And then I'll use the filter to show all. And I'll put a sum function. So that gives me the total for the total expired stocks as of today. And I will do a stop recording. Okay. Now let's go back to the same data again. Item number, item description, batch number, quantity, expiration date, item cost, and total value. I'll go to the macros. I'll view the macros. The macro of that was macro 12, and I will run it. And there you go. So all the procedures that I followed to get this value in this sheet 4 took me about 3 to 4 minutes, whatever the timeline was. But as soon as I recorded them in a macro and I run the macros, it gave me the same report in a matter of 2 seconds probably. So these were 2 examples that I thought maybe I should share with all of you, just to help you understand macros a little bit better. So there are a million ways of doing the same thing in Excel. I have said this before also, if I'm not wrong. This is just one of the ways that I have done to analyze this report. You can have different ways of doing the different reports, but make sure whatever procedure you follow, you record it through macros. So when you record it through macros, it becomes an entire procedure. Let me show you what I'm saying. So in this workbook, we've saved 2 macros. The macro 11 was the removal of NZDs, and macro 12 was getting the expired stock. So if I want to see the step info for macro 11, I can just go into step info and look at that. So highly technical guy can actually write this, but for most people like us, I don't think writing the macros would be a viable option. So it's always better to record the macros because it will do the job for you. So there you go. But make sure when you save this file, you have to save this file in a macro enabled workbook, because if you save it in Excel workbook, your macros will be lost. Saved. And one more thing, in view macros, see macro 11 and it says you want to apply this macros in all open workbooks. It has got also few more options like this workbook only and book one. So say if you only want to have this macros in a specific Excel, you can just use this workbook. But I would like to have this macros in all of my open workbooks, so I'll just keep it as open workbooks. I've tried to make this video as short and as simple as possible, but if you guys have any queries or any more questions, please post it in the comment section and I will definitely try my best to answer most of your queries. Because I understand in today's world, you guys don't have time to watch a long video, and I completely understand that. That's why it's important for me to give you the information in shortest possible time. Anyways, try macros, give it a shot, and let me know how it works. Thank you for your time. Have a nice evening. Bye.